In line with President Bola Tinubu's agenda of a $1 trillion economy by the year 2026 and $3 trillion within the decade with double-digit inclusive and sustainable growth, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Olayemi Cardoso, has reiterated the commitment of the bank to focus primarily on the core mandate of price stability. Inflation control is at the heart of price stability, and so today on the program, we will be drawing insights from an economist as we consider the angles to effectively taming inflation in Nigeria, plus the top stories from the Apex Bank this week, all in a moment. Stay with us.
A $1 trillion economy is possible. By year 2026. And a $3 trillion economy is also possible within this decade. We can do it with double-digit inclusive and sustainable competitive growth. This is our agenda. I'm confident that by working closely with all of you in the private sector, financing our $3 trillion national infrastructure stock can be achieved in 10 years and not in 300 years. Building megacities in every geopolitical zone of the size and scale of Lagos must not take us another 6 decades. We can do it in 1 decade. A fully networked and connected Nigeria by rail, gas, fiber, digital optics, and road network can be constructed in less than 20 years. Establishing thriving industrial zones in every Nigerian zone is possible before 2030. Let's use the next 2 decades to craft strategies that have relentless backing of our collective will. You have my commitment that my government will act on all the promises.
That was President Bola Tinubu at the opening ceremony of the 29th Nigerian Economic Summit in Abuja last month. Now to the top stories from the CBN this week. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Olayemi Cardoso, has reiterated that under his leadership, the bank will focus mainly on the core mandate of price stability. It disclosed this last Thursday, 2nd of November, while playing host to the impact investing community led by the 14th Emir of Kano, Khalifa of the Tijaniya Sufi Order of Nigeria, and the neighboring countries, Muhammadu Sanusi II, who is also a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Addressing the team in his office, Dr. Cardoso said he is ready to change the narrative and make the bank more impactful in the lives of Nigerians by curtailing inflation. He thanked the impact investing community, commending its effort at creating awareness and building partnership, and assured the team of the bank's readiness for collaboration towards economic growth. Responding, Khalifa Sanusi expressed happiness at visiting the CBN governor and urged the new leadership to persistently work on driving down inflation rate, which he noted had severely impacted the wealth of individuals. Also speaking, the chair of Impact Investing, Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, said the community is willing to help change the investment climate by redirecting resources to areas where the most impact will be made. According to her, more than $200 trillion investment fund is available around the globe, 1 trillion of which is with impact investing. CBN Deputy Governor Corporate Services, Dr. Bala Bello, who was present at the meeting, underscored the importance of investment, noting that global capital is moving towards social investment and that collaboration and effective communication are vital to successfully navigate current challenges in the country. The Central Bank of Nigeria has clearly stated that every banknote issued by the bank remains legal tender and should not be rejected by anyone, as stipulated in Section 20, Subsection 5 of the CBN Act 2007. Director CBN Corporate Communications Department Dr. Isa Abdulmumin, in a press release on Wednesday, said, "For the avoidance of doubt, there is sufficient currency for all normal economic activities across the country, and that all denominations of the Naira banknotes issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria remain legal tender and no one should refuse the Naira as a means of payment." Dr. Abdulmumin revealed that it became necessary to make the clarification following reports of cash scarcity in major cities, despite the earlier assurance of sufficient cash stocks in all locations across the country. He noted that there have also been reports of anxiety among members of the public over the legality or otherwise of old Naira banknotes, adding that central bank branches nationwide have been directed to continue to issue different denominations of both old and redesigned Naira notes in adequate quantities to deposit money banks for onward circulation to their customers. The CBN spokesman therefore advised the general public to guard against panic withdrawals, as there is enough cash stock for normal economic activities, and to also embrace alternative modes of payment to reduce the need for physical cash.
When people say they are concerned, they are worried, they are this thing, I think the time to do that, quite frankly, has gone. There are more difficult decisions to be made, no question about it. But the two very difficult decisions, painful, they've been taken, and now it is a question of managing things till we get to where we really want to get to. And that where we really want to get to is a place where we have a foreign exchange market that is fit for purpose. A foreign exchange market that works for everybody. A foreign exchange market where you know the rules. A foreign exchange market where there are no policy flip-flops. A foreign exchange market where you can predict. That's the bigger deal. And I'm happy, to be frank, and I must share this, that we have had an enormous amount of interest from foreign portfolio investors, foreign stakeholders who really and truly are interested in continuing to engage with Nigeria. And the reason, of course, is they can see where this is all going to.
Oh, I see. Just hold on in that case. Let me call out my PIN. It is 41...
Uncle, please stop.
Stop what?
You're giving someone else your personal identification number PIN?
Not someone else. It's from my bank.
Please hang up, Uncle. That's a fraudster.
That's not true. But they call out my full name. I am sure this is from my bank.
Uncle, no bank is ever going to call you to ask for your personal identification number PIN, your mobile banking password, or your card verification code, CVC.
But it sounded so genuine.
Yes, hackers and fraudsters always sound genuine. But please, Uncle, don't fall for their bait. Don't respond to any phony emails, text message, SMS, and don't click on any link you're not sure of.
Even if they call your date of birth or your BVN, don't give them your security details.
If you suspect any issue with your account, please go to your bank.
Oh, I see.
This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Thanks for staying tuned. Price stability refers to the condition in which the domestic currency retains its purchasing power by maintaining low and stable inflation, as measured by the Consumer Price Index over a medium term of between 3 to 5 years. It refers to an inflation rate that is low and stable enough to not influence the decision-making processes of economic agents. In light of the commitment of the leadership of the Central Bank of Nigeria to ensure price stability in the country, I spoke earlier with the leading economist and the CEO, Economic Associates, Dr. Ayoteriba, on how to effectively rein in inflation at this time. Dr. Ayoteriba, thank you very much for coming on the program today, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Now, at 26.72%, inflation is very high in Nigeria. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Yemi Cardoso, has promised, he even made a promise during the visit of the former CBN Governor Khalifa Sanusi to the CBN headquarters last week, that the CBN is focused on price stability and ensuring that they bring down inflation. But some analysts are of the opinion that the CBN has actually exhausted all that is in its toolkit to bring down inflation, because the inflation that is being experienced in Nigeria is cost-push inflation. What is your opinion, and what else do you think the CBN can do to bring down inflation in the country?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. It's trying times for Nigeria on many fronts. You know, we've just come through the democratic transition. The election was quick and decisive, but then election petitions made the ultimate resolution drag for 8 months, from 1st of March to October. But at least we had closure in October when the Supreme Court gave the final judgment. That lifted a huge cloud of uncertainty from the Nigerian terrain, which matters. And now the government's free from the distraction and the uncertainty of, is the president going to change? Are we going to have a new president and the rest of you? We are free from that now. We now know our president is with us for 4 years. That's good for certainty, for economic stability. And so we can turn to this issue of inflation. It turns out that in the hierarchy of issues that you must consider, inflation comes way below. There are still two more important layers before you can get to, where inflation or what the central bank can do could matter. In the face of devaluation or devaluation overhang, there is nothing that the central bank can do about bringing inflation down. Even if they were to raise their monetary policy rate to 100%, you are looking at pass-through from devaluation to inflation. It's cost-push inflation, and compounding the effects of higher energy prices, higher food prices on the global scale that have been that has resulted from the Russia-Ukraine war, and the Israel-Gaza war has also overlapped the Russian-Ukraine war. Let's hope it doesn't spread. Let's hope it doesn't also become, protracted. So the key issue for inflation is exchange rate stability. I would imagine that the journey to 27 to 26%, 26.7% is approximately 27. The journey to 27% had been fueled by the journey of the prime market exchange rate to 1,300. And the fact that the prime market exchange rate has trending up now to about 1,000, sometimes below 1,000, means that we should expect some positive effect on inflation in the next month or two. That appreciation, in the last 2 weeks, we'll see some disinflation. The best way to reduce inflation is an appreciating currency. So let's hope that we'll see that effect. But much more important, let's hope that that trend of appreciation will persist. We've seen it before in 2017 when the naira, breached the 500 naira mark, and ended at 510. The official exchange rate was 305, and eventually the authorities were able to bring enough supply on stream, and the naira in the prime market settled back from 510 to $1 to 360 to $1 in 2017, and stayed there for the next 3 years. And of course, at the time, inflation too had approached 20%. And we saw it over the next 1.5 years, trend steadily downward. Are we together? So I'm hoping that we will be able to repeat that 27 episode now. That hopefully both windows, both the official window and the below the chain window, are seen appreciation. That I hope that that appreciation will persist and hopefully see us settling back towards where we were coming from. Anywhere between, maybe 600, maybe 500 and something. If that happens, then expect inflation to also steadily trend downward. So in terms of layering, the first layer, which we didn't discuss, we didn't speak about, but which must have loomed large, was the political uncertainty. It's resolved. It's historically, when election approaches in Nigeria, some people, take position.
So now that the cloud of political uncertainty has been lifted.
Yes.
And you have said that given the nature of inflation being experienced in Nigeria, there is very little that the monetary authority can do. But I believe there is a lot that a fiscal authority can do. Thank God there is a better working relationship between the two departments now. What specific fiscal changes, policy moves would you expect to see for inflation, just as you have explained now, for that to actually happen, for inflation to start trending downward in the country? What specific moves would you be expecting to see from the fiscal side?
Okay, the layering. We've dealt with the political. That envelopes everything else. And it's now favorable for Nigeria. And we also fortunately got this judgment on the 11 billion.
The P&ID
that,
case.
Eases our financial situation. I would imagine that a lien would have been placed on part of our foreign reserves in view of that original judgment, which would now have been lifted now that we won. So the next three layers are the forex liquidity. Because ultimately, what determines whether your exchange rate is weak or strong is your foreign reserve adequacy. So if you want a strong exchange rate, you build up your reserves to some minimum threshold. It may not be 500 billion. It may be 100 billion. No. Like when you are looking at engine oil, it's a threshold issue. It's not a question of whether or not there's engine oil in your car. It must reach a certain minimum threshold, and it shouldn't exceed. Are we together? So that's a Nigerian question. It's not a fiscal question. It's not a central bank question. It's a country sovereign question. How Nigeria must ensure adequate reserves. For example, the judgment against Nigeria was a determining factor. It turns out to be favorable. So this rests on the desk of the president. What countries do to strengthen their exchange rates and foreign reserves is the country's business. The central bank is the financial advisor to the country, but some countries, some strong countries, industrial countries, went to the extent of creating a regional central bank. So in this case, the president has taken the lead. He's secured, for example, more than 14 billion US dollars in investment commitment from when he visited India, for the G20 meeting. We need to see more of that. Nigeria needs to be, more aggressive in seeking investment, particularly foreign investment. For fiscal purposes, you seek domestic investment. So we are not showing that aggression. We are still acting as though there's no problem. There is problem.
Aha, you want to call the number? Oh yeah, wait. Oh yeah, 0.
No, now. Stop it.
What? I'll call you back. What?
Stop writing on the naira.
It's just 500 naira.
No matter the denomination, the naira is not a sheet of paper to be written on or crumpled. It is Nigeria's legal tender currency. The naira should not be abused by being sprayed or danced on at parties. The naira is not a shelf item to be sold or bought along the road or at social events.
So how will I celebrate with people when I go for their parties?
You can simply put your monetary gifts inside envelopes and present to the celebrants.
If I choose to spray and
you could go to jail for 6 months or pay a fine of 50,000 naira or both.
For real?
I
didn't know that.
Now you know. Spread the message. The naira is a symbol of our national identity. Let's safeguard its integrity. Don't abuse the naira.
This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN.
That's the package from the CBN this week. Be careful not to fall for any fraudulent recruitment portal or loan scheme advertisement purportedly from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Get your information from trusted sources always. Report unreserved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department using the email cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Attach relevant document. Call the CBN Contact Center on the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Write to us through the email address fromthecbn@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X.com, formerly Twitter, for updates and to watch uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I'm William Misi Dada. Stay safe. Bye for now.